All right, so the class doesn't start for another 10 minutes, so I like to use this time to talk about the news. So I accumulate news links. Here's a few things to see. So all the talk in AI companies now is about agents, where it does not just a chat bot where you type in a question and it gives you an answer. You're going to be able to let it go do things for you. Like I saw, there's an HR agent where you will tell it, contact all the customers, all the applicants, check to make sure they have these three things. If they don't have those three things, politely reject them. If they do, schedule interviews. Here's the times available next week, and it will just do all that for you the way a human would, supposedly. And so ChatGPT is trying to do that too. This is what everybody's trying to do. Make agents where you can have recurring tasks and scheduled tasks where an AI does something for you automatically like a human assistant. So there was a Chinese infection that infected thousands of machines from a long time ago, since 2014. And so the U.S. government found a way to reverse engineer the command and control center, take over, and send it an order to delete itself, which has happened many times in the past. It's just getting a little bit of attention, probably because of the Chinese connection. Over the last 5 or 6 years, our hostility towards China has been growing more and more, and there are more and more attacks of the Chinese hacks on the U.S. As we appear to be moving towards war with China. Dmitry Alperovich, a big shot at CrowdStrike, expects us to be at war with China in the year 2028. I sure hope that doesn't happen, but we do seem to be more and more hostile all the time. And speaking of which, the ban on TikTok is supposed to take effect on January 19. It looks like that's going to take effect. The Supreme Court apparently is not going to stop it, so maybe it will be banned. Of course, this won't have much immediate effect. I don't think they'll stop connection to the servers. I don't think they'll force people to take it off their phones. All it means is it won't be in the official app stores, so new people have trouble adding it to their phones, but they can probably just go to an unofficial source. And anyway, we'll see what happens. That, I think, is a thing maybe for the younger generation. It seems like all the people under 25 are on TikTok. I can't be. I'm a military and government contractor. They ordered me to take TikTok off my phone. Let me check for comments in the chat. There are no comments. All right. So there appears to be a deal for a ceasefire. This is mighty strange. We'll see if it happens. I mean, these things have happened before. They usually fall through, but it sure would be great if that war would stop. It's a very strange time for it. I think there's no doubt that Trump will take credit for it. Anyway, it sure would be nice if the war stopped. But I'd be surprised if Netanyahu can stop. I think his coalition is so weak, he needs the far right in Israel to support him. Anyway, North Korea is the main cryptocurrency theft in the world. They fund their entire regime by stealing vast amounts of cryptocurrency, and here they show in just 5 heists, they stole $659 million. There was another report that said they met with the President Putin of Russia, and around the same time they sent troops to Ukraine. They have committed less cryptocurrency theft, so perhaps they made some kind of deal with Russia that somehow involved doing less cryptocurrency crime. But anyway, they are very good at it. One common way they do it is they impersonate someone from another country and get hired at your company, and then they get your insider secrets, and then they can use it to steal your money. But they have a whole lot of good scams from North Korea. They are very smart and very dangerous. Here's a flaw that's been bothering people called startup necromancy. So if you sign up for Google Apps, then people typically connect this to other things like your Windows domain controller, your Slack account, and all these other things where you can authenticate with a Google authentication, and that will federate, let you go over to other services. Then when you quit using Google Apps, people don't properly decommission that service. So when a new person buys the same domain at Google Apps, they can now log into your old services. So this is a data remnants problem, essentially. It's similar to the problem that's been around for decades, where when you're done with the computer and you throw it away, somebody can find the hard drive of the discarded computer and find corporate data on it if you forgot to wipe it. So PowerSchool paid a ransom, is some company, some kind of education company. They got hacked, and the bad guys charged them a ransom for not revealing the data. And so they paid the ransom so the bad guys would delete the data. And of course, what they're saying is experience has shown that the bad guys don't really delete the data after you pay the ransom. Why would they? They're crooks. They see the idea of paying them for something you can't verify is crazy. Hey there.
Hi.
Greetings. All right.
I didn't know this was online.
What's that?
I didn't know this class was online.
You can access it online or you can come physically. Either way. Yeah. Yep. And I'm just talking about the news until 10 minutes after. Feel free. All right. Yep. So this one is pretty interesting. This is a kind of attack that's been going on also for about 20 years, where if someone can hack your web server and add JavaScript to the page, they can put a credit card skimmer on your web page. Or when people put in their credit card details, it's sent to a third party. The interesting new trick here is they put it in the database in a WordPress website, so that one of these configuration databases for WordPress is now full of obfuscated JavaScript like you see here. And so what that means is when you load the page, it tries to load some configuration parameters and gets a bunch of JavaScript added by the attacker, so it puts up a fake credit card page. So when you pay, you're actually sending your data back, or a credit card number, to a third party. Let me check for comments online. What about the consequences for small businesses that use TikTok? Well, that's interesting. I guess it will depend on the details of the ban. I know a lot of the other anti-Chinese things have said you cannot do business with Chinese companies anymore. You can't buy Huawei. You can't do business with Russian companies. So it may be. It's a good question. I guess we'll need to see the details when it takes effect in just a few days. I wonder if small businesses will not be allowed to advertise on TikTok anymore or anything like that. It's a good question. I guess we'll be hearing more about it. So this guy went to a store and found an RFID label on a 72-cent box of crayons, which is very interesting. I've been waiting for this for years. I wanted to teach a class in RFID a few years ago, but the technology wasn't advanced enough. The point of this is, as you probably know, if you go into almost any store now, they're locking everything up. I go into Safeway, I can't get at the deodorant or the toothpaste or a bunch of things are locked up. And Walgreens has said this is pretty pointless. They have a huge amount of shoplifting, a huge amount of theft, which they call shrinkage. And they found that putting everything in the case didn't really cut down on the theft, and it does cut down on the sales. People are irritated. It's too annoying to get hold of the guy to let you in there. And so this is not really helping. So the alternative, which would be a lot nicer for everybody, would be to put RFID tags on them so you can easily radio scan where your devices are. And therefore, it's easy to do an inventory and see how many things are on the shelves and tell when they're vanishing. Make sure all the things they're in a box to ship to you, that they all get to the other end, and so on. So RFID labels are finally getting extremely cheap. If you can afford to put a label on a 72-cent product, the label must cost only a penny or two, I guess, only a few pennies. So that if you just put these labels on everything, that would be a much less irritating way to deal with all the theft than putting everything in a locked case. Right? And Elon Musk, it's interesting, since he's going to be effectively the vice president now, as far as anybody can tell, if not indeed the president himself. It would be nice to understand his character, and his character is amazingly like Donald Trump. He's a total fraud, he lies all the time, and he has fake accounts where he praises himself and pretends to be his own fan. Trump just sent his son to Greenland to hire a bunch of homeless people to stand around and pretend to be in favor of him buying Greenland and wear Trump hats. It was a totally fake opportunity in here. So apparently, he lies about being good at video games. He claims to be like one of the top 10 video game players on the most difficult games, and these guys analyze the video he makes and say it's incredibly obvious that he doesn't know anything about the game. He found somebody who was a good player, and he bribed them to let him use their account and pretend to be good at the game. So this, I think, is important for us to know, since this guy is going to be effectively the president, what an extremely vain and mentally disturbed man he is, that you would lie about something like this and falsify the evidence. This reminds me of the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. He would go golf. He told his people not just that he was their leader, but that he was a superhuman, godlike creature. So when he went golfing, they put in the newspaper that he got a hole-in-one in every shot. And Trump also cheats at golf, but not that outrageously. But Elon Musk does try to cheat and claim to be superhuman in ways that he clearly isn't. So it's perhaps just human interest, but I'm afraid a little more serious than it ought to be, since we are becoming a corrupt country ruled by oligarchs very fast. Anyway, I'm going to stop the news.